guys, welcome to a little bit of a random vlog for me. I don't tend to do sit down chatty kind of vlogs, but this is one that I have had so many people ask questions about, and it's something that obviously we are very excited about because we have just become DVC members. As you can probably tell from the title, we have chosen to do it through resale, which is why I'm kind of doing this. I don't really feel like too many people either know resale exists or know too much about it or have seen many people kind of talk about it. So I am here to talk about our experience, what happened with our journey of buying our resale contract, and letting you know all the tips that I have so far. Obviously we haven't actually done a DVC holiday yet, so there are certain things that I'm not going to be able to explain the best. So I'm not gonna I'm basically just gonna kind of explain what the difference is between resale and direct and what the experience is that we have had so far. Ben is in the background, so if he does have any more useful information or anything, then you may be able to hear him at some points, but he is sitting here playing FIFA at the moment, so you may hear from him, you may not. So first off, I feel like I've got to kind of explain how DVC works for you guys that may not know too much of what it's about and what it is. I'm in no way affiliated with DVC or the resale market or anything. This is literally just my opinion and how kind of my brain works to make it make sense. Definitely do your own research if you are looking to become a DVC member or want to know more about it. Definitely do your own research. The easiest way to explain what DVC is it's basically Disney's version of a timeshare. Slightly different to your standard timeshare because I know they have a bit of a bad reputation. So it's a little bit different, but that is kind of the basics of what it is. You basically buy a contract either through Disney or through a resale market. Disney is the standard, so we're going to go through Disney just to explain what it is. So you buy a contract through Disney, and that contract will give you a certain amount of points that you get each year at a specific Disney hotel. So us, for example, we have purchased 200 points at Animal Kingdom Lodge. Them 200 points that we purchase, you get them every single year at the same point every year. So for us, we get them on the 1st of March every single year until your contract ends. Definitely check when you are looking, or if you are looking, at how long the contract is. So your contract length basically depends on how old the hotel is. For example, if you want to look at the first ever DVC resort, which is Old Key West, it basically gives you a 50-year contract from the point of when that hotel was built. So there's not long left on the contract on Old Key West. Riviera, for example, was I think 2019, correct me if I'm wrong, roughly around that time. So the 50 years started from 2019, if that's the correct year. So if you buy a Riviera contract, you've got a lot longer left on your contract than if you bought an Old Key West contract. That's kind of the difference. Obviously, they're going to be cheaper if you buy the older hotels. The newer hotels are going to be more expensive. You then basically use them points to book hotel rooms. And depending on how many points you use, depends on how long you can go for. So we found that 200 points for us worked to be able to go for 2 weeks every year. That is very different for each couple, for each family. It just worked for us. 99.9% of the time, it is just us that will go. So we didn't feel the need to get any more points than that. But I also feel that if we got any less points than that, then there'll be some hotels that we'll struggle to stay at, because hotels like Grand Floridian have got to be more points per night. I'm trying to make this as easy as possible to explain. I hope you're still with me. I feel like that is kind of the basics of it. I hope that makes sense. But again, go and watch a professional do this, because again, I am no pro yet. So our contract, as I said, we've got 200 points at Animal Kingdom Lodge. Our home resort is Jumbo House, so the main Animal Kingdom Lodge. You can purchase at Kidani Village or Jumbo House, but we are Jumbo House, which is what I wanted. We've gone for that resort ourselves purely for the fact that we thought it was the best value for money for how many points we could get for the contract price. I'm not going to say exactly how much we paid for the contract because I think that's quite personal information. But the main benefit of buying through resale for us was the price. Buying directly through Disney compared to buying resale price was way under half the price. So that for us was the biggest, I don't want to say only, but the biggest by far benefit into buying resale is the price. Personally for us, we physically would not have been able to buy through Disney just because finances at the moment we wouldn't have been able to do it. So yeah, gone through resale purely for the price. Now the main question that I got when I put something up on Instagram was, can you tell me the pros and cons of buying through resale compared to direct? So I've just told you the pros. The cons, however, does massively sway you depending on whether this is right for you. And it took us ages to kind of come to that decision. So the biggest cons, again, have a look yourself because there may be something that I haven't listed that may be a massive thing for you. But the biggest cons for me personally, or for us, was one, that you can't use it on Disney Cruise Line. So you can't use your points on Disney Cruise Line. And we love a cruise. We are trying to tick off all the cruises. So that was a big thing for us. And the first thing that Ben said as soon as I said you can't use it on Disney Cruise Line, he was like, oh, I don't know. The thing that made me not worry about that so much is when I looked at how many points it cost you to do the cruise. So as I mentioned, obviously each hotel has a different amount of points per night. So Saratoga Springs is going to be a lot cheaper to stay at than the Grand Floridian. The cruise is similar. So the cruise and any abroad properties, so Disneyland Paris, Tokyo, Shanghai, Hong Kong, are all your premium price. So they are all either Grand Floridian prices or sometimes higher. So that was the one thing in my head that I thought, I don't think it's necessarily worth spending your points on the cruise anyway for us. So I didn't worry about that as much when I found that out. I think for value for point, it would have been better for us to just have a 2-week trip to Disney World anyway and then pay out of pocket for the cruise, which is what we are deciding to do anyway. The next con, and I think the next kind of biggest thing, is you don't get to use the discounts. So if you don't know, buying direct through Disney, you get 20% off of all your food and merchandise, or most of your food and merchandise across property. So that is a big thing because you're saving obviously a hell of a lot of money on your food and merchandise while you're actually out there. Buying resale, you don't get access to that discount. I have had a couple of people message me. I don't know how true it is because we haven't actually been out there while we're DVC members to test this yet. But I have had a couple of people say that in certain locations they will still let you use your discount. But I think rule of thumb is you don't get a discount. So I'm not assuming that we're gonna get one. If once or twice they do let us use it, amazing, bonus, great. But we're just kind of assuming we're not going to get that discount. And I think that's the best way to think of it. The other biggest con for DVC resale is you can't actually use your points to stay at any of the new hotels. So Riviera and onwards, we can't actually stay at, which again is a big thing. That was a little bit like, because I'd love to be able to stay at the Riviera. I'd love to be able to stay at the new or the Disneyland hotel now they've redone it up, that kind of thing. You can, which I didn't realise this when we purchased, but you can use your points to stay at the new Polynesian Tower. Because it's an addition of an original hotel, you can actually use your points to stay there, which I thought was really good. But yeah, anything from the Riviera onwards for new hotels, we can't actually stay out and use our points there. So they, I would say, are the biggest 3 cons of buying through resale compared to buying direct. There are a couple of little ones, like you can't go to any of the DVC specific nights. I can't remember what they're called.
You can't go in the lounges either.
And you can't go in the lounges. So ones like that, again, we haven't tried going in the lounges. It says you're not allowed to, but we haven't tried. So once we've actually gone on a trip and we've tried these things, I think there's no harm in trying. If they say no, they say no. There are the pros and cons. So yeah, there are quite a few cons. So definitely have a look to see if there's any more that I haven't mentioned or anything like that. But definitely do your own research on what the pros and cons mean to you. Obviously, them cons are quite big cons, but I do think the pricing difference for us outweighed that. It was a case of we wouldn't have been able to pay the prices for direct currently. So it was resale or nothing at the moment, and I wanted to do it sooner rather than later because the prices just keep going up and up and up. If we done it in 3-4 years time, we don't know what our situation would be, and it just probably would have been more expensive to do it. So we've just kind of taken the dive and gone for it now. The next question I got is what the company is that we bought it through. So I'd say the biggest resale company is DVC Resale Market. That is kind of the one that everyone goes to. That's the one that I was initially looking at. However, there are a few smaller ones, which is one that we did end up actually buying our contract through. So the company that we brought through was Vacation Club Life. I'll put their tag here somewhere. So yeah, Vacation Club Life is who we purchased our contract through. I was literally just looking on all the different resale markets and went onto that one, happened to find a contract that was just perfect for us and slightly cheaper than the DVC Resale Market website. I put a cheeky offer in thinking that's definitely going to get declined, but it got accepted and that was the start of us becoming DVC members. So it wasn't really kind of, we had spoken about it and I kept looking. That's the other thing that I think is really good. Every single day you're getting new contracts coming on and off. So when you find one for you, know exactly what you're looking for, how many points, your use year, so when your points become available every year, so ours is March, and obviously what hotel you want, that kind of thing. So look for that. Know exactly what you want and just keep looking every single day because they do change every day. That would be my biggest bit of advice. Don't kind of think, oh, well, I want my points to come in every February and there's only ones that come in December. Don't just settle for that because it will come up. It might just take a little bit longer. One will come up that works for you. The main kind of questions that I've had are, can you tell me the pros and cons of the difference between resale and direct, which I feel like I've answered as much as I probably can. I apologise if you can just see green in the background, by the way. Ben's playing FIFA, so my entire face might look green. But the other question that I got was the contract length. Is it worth kind of booking yourself in for that long contract? If you're buying direct or resale, say if you're buying one of the brand new hotels, Riviera for example, and your contract is next to 50 years, that is a long time to be tying yourself into going to Disney. Again, I don't really feel like I can kind of give advice on that. It's personal preference. Our way of thinking about it was, whether we're DVC or not, do we think we are going to be going to Disney every year or as often as we possibly can for the foreseeable future? And the answer was quite clearly yes. We have fallen in love with the parks. We've fallen in love with going to Florida. We just absolutely love it. So whether we're DVC or not, I can't see, unless something drastically changes in our situation or whatever, I can't see why we would not be going to the parks as often as possible. So that was the main thing for me. And the main reason why I think, yes, it was a big plunge to kind of take a 33-year contract out, but if anything happens, you can sell it. So yes, you are in a contract. Yes, you probably won't make all of your money back that you have spent, but you can sell it. There are ways out of your contract. It's not like in 5 years' time something drastically happens and you're stuck and you've still got to pay the next 45 years no matter what. That's not the case. There are ways out of it. So it's not a be-all and end-all. It's definitely not right for everyone. But for us, we were going anyway, and the price that we got our resale contract for, we basically crunched the numbers a lot and worked out for us that we would be pretty much spending that money if we stayed at All Star Music every time. So this way we get to pay the price that we're going to All Star Music for, but we're staying in either Animal Kingdom Lodge or any of the other deluxe resorts. We have done it a little bit differently. So we're paying ours off over 5 years, not 10 years. So after we've paid our DVC off over 5 years, all we'll be paying is our annual dues on the hotel. So whether you buy resale or direct, every single hotel has annual dues, which basically means that you're paying if you think of it like a leasehold property and you're paying for like service charge and ground rent on a leasehold property, similar kind of thing. You're paying your annual dues, which basically means that you're paying for the upkeep of the resort. So for Animal Kingdom Lodge, it is slightly more expensive because you're paying for the animals. You're paying, obviously, you've got a safari and everything at Animal Kingdom Lodge, so you're paying for all of the animals. It tends to be slightly more at the older resorts as well, because obviously they're going to need more refurbs, that kind of thing. And that price can fluctuate up and down every year. It's roughly around $1,000 per year. It can be higher, it can be lower, but as a rough estimate, it's around that per year. And you are paying that every single year for the length of your contract. Obviously, it goes without saying that is just paying for the hotel. So I don't want anyone to think that, oh, you're getting an entire holiday for £1,000. That's not the case. You still obviously have to pay for your flights, park tickets, spending money, that kind of thing. This is just, your points just cover your hotel. So everything else you do as normal. If you, don't quote me on this because I'm not a direct member, but if you do buy direct, pretty sure you get discounts on park tickets. Again, don't quote me on that, and if you are a direct DVC member, please let me know down in the comments whether I'm wrong, because I could well be. The last question I did have quite a few times was the length of the process, and again, that does differ depending on whether you buy direct or resale. So I don't know exactly how long it takes by like through direct, but from friends doing it and different people that I know on Instagram and everything that have done it, it seems pretty instant. Maybe a couple of days, but it kind of seems like you go to Disney. You have to do it in Disney, as far as I'm aware. Go to Disney, sign up with your contract and everything. You can obviously then decide how many points you get, because you're not buying someone else's contract that's already a specific amount of points. So let them know how many points you want. Once you've then paid your deposit, by the sounds of it, it's then within a couple of days that you are all linked and everything's up and running as it should be. Again, do not quote me on that because I haven't done that personally. But that kind of seems like a very broad explanation of what it's like going through Disney. Resale is a completely different ball game. So from the point of offering on our contract, it got accepted straight away. As I mentioned, I didn't think it was going to get accepted, and I then got an email saying, congratulations, it's been accepted. So from the point of having our offer accepted to being official, everything all done, was about 2.5 months. So it is a much longer process. If you are going to Disney within a couple of weeks of doing it, do not expect everything to be up and running and everything, because it will not be. Weirdly, we didn't think it was going to be, and it happened about a week or two before we assumed it was going to be, and it actually completed while we were in Animal Kingdom, and we were going to Animal Kingdom Lodge that day. So it was kind of like stars aligned that day. It was really strange, and I burst into tears in Satuli Canteen when I got the email. But we didn't expect it to be for another 2 to 3 weeks roughly. But yeah, took about 2 to 2.5 months ish. The process, because although you wire transfer your money, whether you're just doing a deposit or the entire lot, you wire. That's like the American term. It's basically just transfer. I didn't realise that, but it really confused me when they were telling me to wire the money. I didn't know what it meant. Basically just bank transfer. You basically just wire the money over. It then has to go to the resale team that are selling it. Then Disney have to accept that you are okay to become DVC members. So Disney basically get a first refusal on whether they want you to be DVC members or not. That is the most stressful couple of weeks ever, because all you're expecting is an email to come through from Disney saying, nope, we don't want you, bye. So yeah, that is a stressful few weeks, but that can take about a month or so. So that's probably the longest part of it, is just waiting for Disney to say, yep, you're fine, like you can be DVC members. Once you get the okay from Disney, the rest of it is quite simple. The team that we used, I could not fault them in any way, shape or form. Vacation Club Life were brilliant. They were always there on the end of an email every single time you wanted them. I could have called them, but I'm not paying for abroad phone calls. So yeah, on the end of an email, any single time you wanted them, day or night, there was always someone there. There was probably 2 or 3 different people that was dealing with us, but they were all brilliant. I could have gone to absolutely any one of them at any time about anything, and they were always there to answer any kind of question, like no matter how stupid you feel. They were amazing. That is just personal like experience from us and how it all went. But yeah, once you hear from Disney, the rest of it probably only takes about 3 to 4 weeks ish. Again, obviously that depends on how quickly the team get things working. I did say to them, look, we're out in Disney at this time. Is there any way just to work towards this date? No pressure, but I thought I'd put it out there. And they did do that. So they probably pushed it on a lot quicker or a fair bit quicker than it could have been or should have been, because I said we were going to Florida at this time anyway. But yeah, for us it took about 2 months. It can be a little bit longer, a little bit shorter roughly, but they send you an email with everything kind of explaining how long things should take, just to get your expectations in place. So if you know people that have bought direct through Disney, do not expect it to be anything like that, and don't expect you to be DVC members within a week's time, because that's not the case. I think that's pretty much everything. I've tried to explain it as much as I can. I am no expert, and hopefully once we've actually been next year, I'll be able to give you a bit more information of kind of what we can and can't do while we're out there. So things like the lounges and the discounts and things like that, I'll be able to update you a little bit from that. If you do think of any more questions or anything, please let me know down in the comments. I'm more than happy to have a chat with you, or do an extra video if there's specifically something that you want kind of expanding on. But I thought I'd give you a little bit of like a broad overview of our experience, the difference between resale and direct, why we chose to do resale, and hopefully it has helped you a little bit. Don't get me wrong, if I could buy directly through Disney, I definitely would have, but it's what we had to do to become DVC members, basically. I know I wanted to be a DVC member. It was an absolute dream come true to be a DVC member, and we just wanted to kind of do it as quickly as possible. So this was the only way that we could do it now, basically. But I hope this has helped a little bit. But thank you all so much for watching if you've got this far. I hope it's made sense and it hasn't just kind of been rambling on. But thank you all for watching. Please like and subscribe to see all my future content, including our first ever DVC trip. And I'll see you soon. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.